Welcome back to learnphalcon.com. In this next video, I'm going to show you how to take the information that we've put into the database regarding the access control list and incorporate it using a modified version of the security plugin. So this is the security plugin which I've taken from the Invo application and modified so that it will read the roles, resources and actions from the database rather than having them hard-coded in here. So copy, paste. Now this file needs to go in a folder called plugins, which by default I don't think is here in the scaffolded version of the application. So app, there's no plugins folder, so I'm going to go new folder plugins, and into that I'm going to save this file and I'm going to call it security plugin.php. Okay, so as I say, this is the file. It's been modified. I'm not going to go through all the detail of it at this point. Next step is we need to activate the security plugin, and we need to make a slight change to the loader file, which is to be found in the app config folder. And I'm not sure why it's not in here to begin with. Perhaps it's not loaded by default, but the plugins folder itself is mentioned in the config file. So plugins dear. Okay, so save that. So that picks up, just to let you know, that picks up the location of the plugins folder from here in the config folder. Next, we have to make a modification to the services file, which is also in the config folder. We have to add in two use statements for the dispatcher and the events manager, which control access and allow you to say what happens before and after a particular event gets called. So they go in at the top of the services file with the other use statements, and then back to here we have the actual code that adds the security plugin and the events manager and dispatcher to the dependency injection container, and that should happen in the services file. So we'll just put this down the bottom of the services file. Now, as I've said in the blog post, I've given you this code commented out because as soon as ever we undo these comments, the dispatcher will start preventing access to things, and that'll probably break your application in some way, shape or form. So let's give it a try. Now in the last example video, I made sure that guests have access to the search functionality, but I didn't give them access to delete. Okay, so it's given us an error, but the reason it's given us an error is because it's firing an error in the security plugin for a controller that doesn't exist, which is the errors controller. So so this resource you don't have access to. So it's either is not a resource or it's not allowed. So this is the 401 error that it's trying to throw, and it's breaking the dispatcher. It's getting caught in cyclic routing because you don't have access to the errors controller. So we have to create an errors controller and give access to it to get rid of that cyclic routing. But it is working. And if we go back for the ones that we did allow access to, it's still working, which is the important thing. So the DB access control list from the database is working. So in subsequent videos, I'll show you how to add in that errors controller to make sure that that error is handled once it gets thrown. Thanks.